When I first came to Ascension, I was an atheist. I came because my young children needed exposure to Christianity. My father once said to me, if at some point in your life you don't become an atheist, you are a fool. But if you don't return to God, you are a damned fool. One of the greatest challenges in my spiritual journey has been giving. Before I attended Ascension, I donated very little. You might say that my favorite charity was myself. Once I began attending Ascension, I donated regularly, $20, whenever the offering plate was passed, whenever I attended church. And you know, I was proud of that $20 donation. I felt good about it. I felt generous. I was paying what I thought was a fair amount. And you know what? God was proud of me too. Yes, he was. He knew that I was taking my first steps along this spiritual path. Like a parent who is so pleased when their child's first attempts to crawl, so was God with me. I was being transformed by the process of my spiritual journey. The next major step for me was after I began to have a sense of belonging to Ascension. I attended the Inquirer's class. I was confirmed. My children were baptized. So now I'm a member of Ascension, and members should be responsible for their share of the operational expenses of the church. So if the budget is $1 million and there are 300 pledging households, then I should do my fair share by contributing $3,333.33 per year, equivalent to a tithe of an annual household income after taxes of about $50,000. When I first calculated this number, I thought, wow, that is a lot of money. I don't know if I can afford that. But God had blessed me with a generous income, and members should pay their dues, right? It was only fair, and God wanted me to do my part. I was proud of my pledge. It was more than I'd ever given before, and you know what? God was proud of me too. He knew that I was allowing myself to be transformed into a more generous and joyful giver. Again, like a parent watching their child take its first steps, I was beginning to walk. No longer crawling, I was walking. The next step for me was in some ways the hardest, the dreaded tithe step. Yes, through my adult educational classes, I had learned that everything we received was from God, everything belonged to God, and we were supposed to give God our first fruits, the best fruits. This was important for us, not God. It was important for us to prevent the corrupting influences of selfishness and greed that turn us away from God. Christianity's minimal giving standard is the tithe. Justification for tithing is biblical, both Old and New Testament. Well, I resisted tithing as long as I could. I researched it. I argued it. The Pharisee in me tried to find loopholes. Finally, I decided to work toward the goal of tithing by increasing my percentage of giving each year. We changed our lifestyle. We ultimately sold our home and downsized. I was proud of my tithing, and God was proud of me too, just like a parent watching their child run for the first time. My stewardship spiritual journey has been hard and painful at times. At difficult financial times in my life, it would have been much easier to not keep my tithing commitment. However, God always led me to take the leap of faith and go ahead and give 10%. The stages of my financial stewardship have been amazingly transformational and exhilarating. There is something about being on this spiritual journey with God, about learning to give, about learning to be generous, becoming a joyful giver. Instead of becoming poorer financially, I've actually become wealthier. But the major rewards are not financial, although I expect you'll be blessed with these also. God knows that sometimes I would rather crawl than walk, or walk than run. I'm certainly not ready to dance. God is still working on me in my spiritual journey, and I know He's working with you along your spiritual journey also. The Holy Spirit lifts us up, transforming us. We are all on this Christian spiritual journey together. Praise be to God.